Um, okay, welcome guys to our Frontline to Fairway, another episode. Today I have Tony Lownds and Dave Hughes with me, and Mark at the background, just listening, hopefully. They're gonna share their stories, how they joined On Course Foundation, and how the golf is helping them in their life or in their rehab. Um, First of all, Happy New Year. And it's a very sad news we heard about one of our member yesterday, Dennis Hells, also known as Gus. Our prayer and thought goes to his family in this difficult period of time. Okay, without any delay, I'm going to start with Tony. Tony, would you like to go with your small background, please?
Yeah, so I joined the Grenadier Guards in 2008. Then I went to Afghanistan, first of all, 2009, 2010, and then did bits and bobs in between, went over to Belize, Canada, Brunei, Canada, all the usual sort of stuff. After I joined the motor platoon, actually, as I came back from Afghanistan in 2010. Deployed over to Brunei, did a bit motoring over there, off to Canada, and then 2012 deployed on Herrick 16. I was unlucky enough to be hit by an IED. Fortunate that injuries were relatively superficial. So then, after I did a period at Headley Court, probably about 4 months down there, a lot of rehab at home before finally being medically discharged from the army in 2014. I think it was 14. Okay, just before that time is when I came across the On Course Foundation. Not really got a lot of stories about the military career that I can say on here, to be honest, being a mortarman.
Yeah.
Family friendly.
You did say you were in Headley Court as well. So were you in Headley Court as well? Did you do Headley Court Rehab Center, did you say?
Me? Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I was down at Headley Court. It would have been the summer to sort of winter in 2012.
Ah.
2012 was.
I think I was there as well. I think 2012.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think I ended up in Headley about probably about the June, July time. Yeah, I got injured in May. So, yeah, July. It would have been July by the time I got down to Headley Court. Yeah.
Oh. And you got medical discharge in 2014, did you say?
Yeah, 2014. I think it's towards the back end of 2014. I knew it was happening, to be fair. But as you know, with the military, it was a good old paper chase, and you got jumped through a few hoops and stuff. At first, I wanted to stay in, but as I realised the extent of my injuries, and I wouldn't be able to do what I did before, I had no real interest in doing much else within the army, to be fair. So it took a while to accept it. I suppose it did after I was out as well. I probably kidded myself and thought that I'd got my head around it, but it took a good few years to realise that I couldn't accept it. But and then once I sort of got my head around it and sort of started with the new career and stuff in the golf, it quite easily put it behind me.
Oh, that's great. Cheers, mate. Thank you very much.
No worries.
Yeah, I'm going to move to Dave now. Dave?
So I joined the REME in 1989 as a vehicle mechanic. had various tours: Northern Ireland, Bosnia, Iraq, and 25 years I served. On my final tour of Iraq, when we came back, 2008, I think 2009, we were out on a run, on a squatted run, and I'd collapsed. I had a complete whiteout, which was the beginning of my sort of journey through having my brain tumor diagnosed. I think in 2013, after various tests over the years, numerous whiteouts, collapsing on runs, just passing out, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor front right, and I think that was July 2013. They did approximately, I'd say 6 to 12 months, sort of watching what was happening, growth rate, stuff like that. And then August of 2014, I went in, while serving in Germany still, I went into Bielefeld hospital, where they successfully removed it. A bit of a shock. I was told they were just going to go in through the eyebrow, leave 4 stitches, remove the tumour, and I'd wake up and not notice anything. Unfortunately, when they went in, as I was under already on the table, they discovered that the tumour had flowered through the skull. So I ended up with a 4-inch plate on the side of my cranium there. So it was a bit of a shock waking up with a rather large head. But yeah, and then after that, it was a long road to recovery. I came out of it quite well. My fitness levels were really good back then, which helped. No paralysis like they thought was gonna happen. I had some motor skill problems, a lot of memory problems. There was the usual symptoms afterwards, the usual problems afterwards. But I was then, after my recovery, I was medically discharged in December of 2015. So, almost from diagnosis to discharge was probably 2.5 years.
Yeah, that must be the difficult period, I think.
Oh, it was horrendous. Honestly, I wouldn't want to see anybody go through it. It was so bad. I mean, emotionally draining. Really bad. But I had a great support, and the army and the REME were fantastic. So I couldn't ask for anything better, really. I had a great team around me, and I came out of it pretty well, to be honest.
Mark, you want to ask something?
Yeah, Dave, I remember you telling me how much of a shock it was when you discovered that you had a brain to have a tumour on. Is that right?
Yeah, well, it's they had some pretty good technology to find it back then. Yeah.
So you had a surgery during the service. So while you were in service, you had a surgery. That's a good thing, I reckon.
Yeah. They kept. So I was serving in Germany. I think I'd been in Germany 10, 12 years. So I was already serving in Paderborn. And I think Bielefeld neurosurgery is in the top 3 sort of neuro universities in the world. So I opted to stay in Germany and have my surgery. The army were actually fighting against me to bring me back to the UK and go to Headley and stuff like that. But I just wanted to. I just thought myself I would have been better off in Germany, natural surroundings that I'd known, and after what they said to me might happen afterwards, I wanted to come out to somewhere recognisable, you know, somewhere that I knew. So yeah, I had a bit of a battle on my hands to have my surgery in Germany, but it was all for the best, and I came out of it really well.
Oh, that's great, Dave. Thank you very much. No, we lost Anthony. Where's he gone now?
Won't be the first time.
I'm replying to your message. I'm not very good with technology. Now I need to close this window. Oh shit! I've got this. Right. Wait a minute. I'm really struggling.
Yeah,
he's back. He's back. You're back.
Yeah.
Right. 3, 2, 1. We're back in the room.
Yeah.
Tony, just sit still and don't touch anything.
Yeah.
No. Tell you what, I was just listening to Dave. Then he joined in '89. I was born in March '88.
Cheers for that.
I didn't actually think you were that old, mate, to be fair. So
I'm looking good, isn't I?
no, not too bad. See there.
If it's a consolation, Dave, you don't look 20 years older than Tony.
All right, cheers.
But definitely.
Tony, can I ask you about a bit of your injury, your injury?
Yeah, so I got injured to both legs. I was actually as I was walking, but I was quite off in a wall. So I was quite fortunate. I got the left leg forward. Yeah, that was my left. Yeah, left leg, right arm. So a couple of scratches on the right leg. Got some sort of extensive damage down to my calf muscle on the left-hand side, which we were relatively worried about at the time. But I mean, now my legs pretty good in the summer anyway. Winter's not much fun when you work outside. And then to my right hand was that I got the sort of main injuries. I've got 100 and can't remember the number now. I used to tell people all the time, whenever I was bored of my stories now. 180 screws in my right hand. I did a bit of a reconstruction job on it. They said it was going to be 2 hours under anaesthetic. I think it was 11 when it finally came round. But we put it back together pretty good. Can hold a pint glass, can hold a golf club. So pretty happy with that. And that was a bit of hearing damage. IEDs tend to be quite loud, so sort of goes with territory. Yeah, as I say, relatively fortunate. My hands, having metal in your hand, working outside's not much fun this time of year, but yeah, it's pretty good. It'll probably need going for a service at some time. I've a few nuts and bolts tightened up, but touch wood, I'm doing pretty well at the minute.
That's good. Cheers, mate. Thank you. Yeah, Mark, you want to ask anything about their career or?
No, I think that's covered it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to move to golf now. So, Dave, obviously you're a good golfer. You know, played so many Sunset Cups now. Have you played golf before?
I'd played golf. So my sort of golfing time had started as a 14-year-old caddying on the sort of county circuit. I never played then. I was too much into my sport, my football, you know, my rugby. But I caddied on the county circuit, and then I joined the army. Never really thought about golf. I was playing football, and then injury after injury sort of drove me. And I started playing golf actually when I was based in Tidworth. I would probably say about 2005, about 95, 96. So that's when I started playing socially. And then, I got a hunger for it and started playing competitive golf. Went over to Germany, played golf for the army team in Germany, played on the amateur circuit in Germany for British Army Golf Club. And you know, we had a great team. We won the league over there a few times, the amateur league. And that was the problem for me. I was playing off 2 then. So to come out of my my surgery and not be able to even pick a golf club up, you know, and even when I could pick the golf club up, I had, you know, massive motor skill problems and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a hard time for me because golf really was my my getaway from everything, you know. It was my release.
Yeah.
How long did it take, Dave, to get those motor skills back?
Well, I mean, so after surgery, I was in the PRU. I got transferred over to the PRU in Senelaga, which fortunately enough is, you know, like a 5-minute drive from the Army Golf Club. And most of my days, Monday to Friday, were spent up on the putting green, around the chipping area, stuff like that. And at that point, I didn't know anything about the On-Course Foundation. And it was my recovery officer, Andy McGuffey, who flagged me towards the On-Course Foundation. You know, he said, look, there's this this charity here who sort of originate in the golf arena. Maybe you should give them a call. And I'd say, I think I was still, when I went to my first event, I was doing a lot of work with Alistair Barr. You know, by that time I could swing a golf club. I was hitting balls again, but there was a lot missing. It was difficult, but yeah, it's been a long journey, and I'm still not back to 2, but I'm not far off.
How about you, Tony?
So yeah, before injury, I'd hit a few balls on a driving range. I'd been to a pitching putt and just messed about. I'd never really played golf, and I was sat at my old house. I was moping about on the sofa. It was just before I got medically discharged, and I was watching Sky Sports News. I think I flicked open something and saw Dave Ward, Bish, and Paul Swain on Sky Sports News speaking to, I think it was Di Doherty, not 100% sure. And they mentioned, they were talking about On-Course Foundation. And as it happened, I then got an email from, I can't remember who it was from, to be honest, but I got an email, mentioned it literally at the same time, and I thought, I may as well give this a go. So I fired off an email, and they said, "Oh, there's an event in a couple of weeks. Do you want to come?" Well, yeah. So went out, bought myself some clubs, went to a driving range, hit it very badly. It was just before Simpson Cup at Royal Lytham, which would have been 2013. 2013. So went down there. Met up with lads, played. I think I scored about 60 odd for the 9 holes that I played. So it wasn't very good. I thought, yeah, I really like this. I'm going to get into it. All the sports I used to do before, I used to play football, bit of rugby, obviously with a hand that's very delicate. Neither of those sports would have been very good, especially football, because I was a goalkeeper. So, yeah, wouldn't have been that good for catching. So yeah, got into it. Joined the club that I now work at. Joined there, started playing. Caught the bug really. Got my first handicap a couple of months later. Going to be handicap 18, which was rather harsh, but took about 6 months to play to it. Started playing to it, and golf it really helped. Because I was literally, while I was waiting after I'd done my recovery, I got sort of, I don't know, probably like 7-8 months. I just did nothing. There's not a lot to do. I got lazy. I was waiting to get out. I had no real plans, and golf give me something to apply myself to. So yeah, I just started playing from there, and what is it now? do the maths. 7.5, 8 years later, here we are. But it's got a lot to thank the game of golf for. On Course Foundation, the game of golf really is. I don't know what I'd have been doing, to be honest. Like I said, I didn't feel like I had a lot going in my life. Everything had changed. The military's gone. The sports that I wanted to play had gone. I mean, I've always liked the sport, even down to playing darts for local dart team. I think I had more to do with a beer, but yeah, it's been good to me. Golf's been good to me. Employment-wise, playing golf, I've managed to play golf all around the world. And if you'd have told me this 10 years ago, I'd have laughed at you.
Yeah.
Did you find it, Tony, when you started? You said there sort of probably at quite a low point, I think, fair to say, at that stage of your military career going and all the sports going. Did you find it quite challenging to take that step and go along to those first golf days?
Yeah, when I first got down there, it's a bit of a funny story actually. So we're staying at the Brands Hatch Hotel. That's where we're supposed to be staying anyway. Ben blames Anne and Anne blames Ben for sending the wrong email. So I sat in there with another member called Rick Webb. So we sat in the wrong hotel for 2.5 hours. So we sort of broke the ice when we got to go. I was worried about going into a room like sort of on my own. Luckily, because of somebody's sport admin, walked in with Rick and the blokes that were down there. I mean, it was pretty much a Simpson Cup warm up for the 2013 event. The whole team thinking, oh no, Simpson Cup, we're not going to want to talk to me. We took me and Rick both under the wing straight away. I've never been into an environment such as that where it's more welcoming. And it still goes on now. I mean, I haven't done as many events as I'd like. Well, this year has been a write-off, and the year before, some being on and stuff. But you see it at the events, and new people come along and they're integrated straight away. There's no clickiness or anything like that. And that really helped, because if it was like that, I'd have probably gone to one and that I'd have done. I'd have tried to look for something else or, whatever. But I went down there and felt like I was part of the group already. And I think I actually shocked it and got an email about the next event. So while I was sat at the service, just filling my face with McDonald's or whatever, I emailed and got myself on that. Speaks volumes really for the foundation, how welcoming they are at all times to everyone really.
Yeah, that's what we said to everyone with the new guys coming through. We just say you need to come to the event, just one event, and you will just love it. You just need one event to get going.
Yeah, it's so, and I mean the mixture of backgrounds that you have from people. You've got a few lieutenant colonels kicking about. Yeah, down to your private soldiers. We've got some fantastic lady golfers now amongst us. It's a great group, and everyone fits in together. There's, I attended a few things with Headley Court and stuff, and I found a lot of them, to be quite honest, to be quite clicky. And if your face fits, you get this and you get that. But on Course Foundation, to the one where it's there's a place for everyone. It's great.
Yeah.
Did you find it difficult, Dave, re-engaging at that time as well? With people that you didn't know coming back from your operation.
Yeah, I mean, it is difficult, because I spent a lot of time not isolated, but homebound. And again, like Tony touched upon there, the army's gone, and it's like, Christ, what am I going to do? And it's going into going through what you go through, and then stepping into a room or an arena with all these people you don't know. I mean, in one way, it's scary. You don't know these people, so stepping into a room with them is difficult. But I think in another way, one of my other feelings was, I'm going into that camaraderie which I'd missed. So I knew there was going to be people like Tony, yourself, you know, Bish, Wardy, massive characters, and getting back in touch with that after being away from it for so long, you know, it was just elation. You know, it was because we love it, don't we? As squaddies, we love that camaraderie, and that's what we do.
Definitely. Yeah, it doesn't matter where you come from, which injury you've got. You just get along, you know.
Without a doubt, you know, and the banter you get in that group is totally different from the banter that you know, I'll get at work, for example. The guys just don't understand me. You know what I mean? You get some funny looks to begin with. You have to tone it down a few octaves.
True. Yes, guys. We gonna move to work. Mark, you want to take over?
Well, I think the first thing, you know, obviously you both work in the greenkeeping trade, different routes to that as well. So I think, Dave, we start with you, and because you went into it pretty much from leaving the army, didn't you? So what led you down that route to wanting to be a greenkeeper when you left?
So yeah, I mean, it was an obvious route for me. Like I touched on before, whilst in the recovery unit in Germany, the Army Golf Club was just down the road, you know. So being Monday to Friday, being on the chipping green, you know, on the putting green and things like that, I got to meet all the guys on the green staff there. You know, a lot of them were German guys, but the head guy was an English guy, Paul Woods. So I got chatting to him. I actually did a little bit of my recovery time working in the office with an ex AG Corps guy who was the secretary there. So I had that surrounding there. It was already in place. So I just thought of like, what do I want to do? I always knew I wanted to go into the golfing arena. So speaking to Paul Woods, he sort of gave me information on what it was like. You know, it is an unsociable career path, but the job satisfaction you get is unbelievable. You know, and Paul gave me direction on what courses, because I wanted to build a CV to make myself, to make people buy into me, you know, and I already had the engineering background and the mechanical background, which would highlight, you know, towards any golf club looking at me. And you know, I did a lot of work with yourself and with my CV when looking for a job and stuff like that. So I got all my courses that Paul gave me, the courses I needed to do to have on my CV prior. I did all my courses, my spraying courses, you know, things like back knapsack spraying, tractor mounted spraying. So I went away and I did all them. I had to be in employment in a golf club to do them. So what I did was, whilst I was back in the UK for my last couple of months, I volunteered at Blackpool Park Golf Club. Whilst so that allowed me to go to the college and do my courses. In the meantime, I sent out my CV to 35 golf clubs within the area, within, I would say, a 25-mile radius. And within an hour, I had 12 interviews. You know, and it was, I think it was the military background, the mechanical background, you know, the volunteer work on the golf course, the spraying quals, you know, and it was good to see all them interviews. Funnily enough, the first email I sent out with my CV was to Royal Lytham, and Mr. Smith, the head greenkeeper, sent me an email straight back saying there was nothing there, but good luck on your journey. Little did he know, and little did I know, you know. So, but yeah, I successfully got a job at Preston Golf Club, and worked there for 2 years. It wasn't a huge golf club, but it was a decent golf club. Good course, difficult course, and I sort of plied my trade and learnt my trade there. Really, and that was the start of my journey.
And I think, Dave, you touched on a couple of things there, which is something that we'd always try to promote, is going that extra mile when you're trying to find that position, by writing lots of letters, by doing the voluntary work, you know, going into a role that you've got no experience of really. How important was that aspect, do you think, in you getting that job, doing that voluntary work?
Well, I mean, the voluntary work, you know, and I can tell you now, after being in the arena for these last few years, any golf club will take anybody who volunteers. If you're ex-military, ex-forces, whether it be RAF, Navy, you know, Army, they will snap you up if you're volunteering, and that always opens doors. You know, because if you start performing on any sort of level whilst you're volunteering, other clubs in the area, they hear about you. And that's what happened with me.
Tony, your route was different to Dave's. I think that's fair to say, isn't it?
Yeah. So I actually started working as a greenkeeper before I joined the army. So I'd be 17. I always planned on joining the army anyway. No, I was 18, 17, whatever age it was. I can't really remember. I did about 6 months of it, and I was umming and ahhing. I mean, I could have stayed on, but I didn't really get on with a couple of personalities around the place at the time. So I thought, nah, I'm going to join it. I'm going to regret it if I don't. So off I went, joined the army, and then as I was in my recovery, much like Dave, I'd started playing golf, and we were really short-staffed at the time. So I couldn't give you a chuck if you want. You know, well, I still remember, I think, a bit. So I went up and did a few bits here and there. And the Greens chairman at the time, I'm still Greens chairman now, to be fair, he said, do you want a job? Seasonal job to start. So I was, well, just about to come out of the army. Yeah, it's a no-brainer at the time. I love being outside. I mean, everything I've done has been outside. I can't think of anything worse than having to work inside, apart from if it's raining. Yeah, so I did one summer with them. So I finished about the October time. And we said, oh, we'll have you back bits and pieces throughout the winter, which pretty much turned into a full winter. And then come the summertime, this would be 2016. So do you want to make it a sort of permanent arrangement? So obviously snap the hand off at it. The same place. I mean, at the time it was when I moved out, so there's 5 minutes from home. It's a course I played. One of the lads was still there from when I first worked there. We got on really well with quite a small team there. At the moment, really small, but the most we've ever been is 5. So yeah, got on with her on there, and yeah, just carried on from there. I had a lot of sort of transferable skills from outside the military that I'd done before, like bits of groundwork. I can take me on to quite a lot of stuff. Well, then yeah, just learned bits and bobs. I've gone off, done chainsaw courses, so do all that. Do all the sort of minor irrigation stuff, but repair leaks, replace heads, all that sorts of stuff. The mowing. It's why I love the job, really. It's such a diverse job. It's not just cutting grass. But yeah, it was lucky, really. It's like how I fell into playing golf as well. I mean, I think I've had a lot of luck with how I fell into the game of golf and working in the game of golf without the On-Course Foundation. Although they didn't directly push me into the role and help me out, if I wasn't with the On-Course Foundation and playing golf, I wouldn't have been up at the golf club. and I wouldn't have got it. So I'm a indirect success story, I think you could say.
Yeah. And do you find, you talked about your injuries earlier on, do you find that at times, I know you sort of said like working in the cold will affect you. Do you find over time that you've had to sort of make, or your head greenkeepers have had to make reasonable adjustments to allow you to work?
Yeah. It's just, I just manage it as and when, short bursts of work, get round back warm again, get back onto it. And I think with the injury, I mean, it's been what, nearly 10 years now. It's been 10 years? No, 9 years. It's quite strange how you just adapt everything you do in your life to your injury. I don't even notice until something hurts, or I can't lift something with my right hand because it's sort of not as strong. But working really good. I mean, I've had a few problems in the past where I've had issues with it. We're understanding. We know what the crack is, and yeah, we've been really good.
Because I think, again, obviously our members that we're looking after, for those guys, and as you know, we've got a couple now that are looking at greenkeeping, Billy Webb, who you've probably seen on the video recently. It's trying to encourage people to still explore these avenues, even with an injury or an illness, to not be put off by that. And I think you two guys are obviously great examples of that, in the approaches that you've taken.
Oh, 110%. I mean, he's retired for the 5th time now. We're up until this, so I think he's permanently retired now. We had a bloke, Bobby's 76. He's had a new ear. He's come in and cut fairways for us. Deep bits. I mean, within greenkeeping, I mean, there's scope for anyone. I mean, there's a guy, he worked up at Kingsfield. Don't know if he still does. Dave Snedden, the lower leg amputee below knee, greenkeeping, going into it, just find a cracking job up there at Kingsfield. I mean, it's a job for anyone, and I think from my background previous and my service background, it just fits in. It's a good diverse job. It's outdoors. Tends to be with people who probably haven't quite got our sense of humour, but it's not too far off. I wouldn't do anything else now, to be quite honest. The money's not amazing. I mean, we're not on pop star wages quite yet, but it's for job satisfaction. It's well worth it. Yeah.
Mm. Dave's getting closer to pop star wages since his move. Dave.
Well,
Dave, you obviously moved on from Preston a couple of years ago now.
Yeah, so I did 2 years at Preston, and then fortunately the job, I sort of dropped my eyes on a job at Royal Lytham 2 days before the closing date. Fired my CV up. Obviously, I let you guys know about that. Had an interview, and it was successful. I got the call a day after my interview, and they offered me the job. So the job at Royal Lytham was outstanding. It's sort of what you aim for. It's an open venue, and it's a different level of greenkeeping, really. I'm not putting Preston down or anything, but it is a step up, and it's more like going into planning wise, going into a military sort of arena. It's like planned down to the last detail.
Like stepping from the Guards to REME, something along those lines.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. It was exactly like that, or even the Royal Engineers to REME or something.
Yeah. And you've been able to use your military skills in sort of taking up a mechanic sort of role there as well, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, so what happened was, obviously I was greenkeeping. I still am greenkeeping, but what happened was the mechanic, a lot of big clubs have a dedicated mechanic, and I swore when I left the army, I swore to myself, never again am I picking up a spanner. I want to be outdoors. I want to be greenkeeping, you know, and that's the route I wanted to take. I got there, but then the mechanic at Royal Lytham left. He handed his notice in, and they were having problems finding a mechanic because it's a niche area, you know. There's unless you know the ins and outs of it already, it's something difficult to get started into. So Paul, my boss, sort of asked me, would I be interested in the role? And at first I declined. I said, no, you know, no, there's not enough money on this planet to get me back into that job. And they'd gone through the interview process, and they, you know, they didn't really find anybody. I'm going to say it, they didn't find anybody good enough for the job. You know, it's an open venue, and you need to be on top of everything. So again, he approached me and said, look, you know, the job's there. What will it take for you to accept? And I threw a couple of figures at him, trying to put him off. And before I knew it, they'd offered me the role. So, and it was too good an offer to turn down, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't regret it at all. It's probably the best move I've ever made. I still do my greenkeeping. I can still progress in greenkeeping. But yeah, I've now moved on as the workshop manager at Royal Lytham Golf Club, you know, which sort of incorporates everything that I've been about.
Well, I've got one final question to both of you. It's a two-part question, really. I think if you could recommend this role to other service leavers, not necessarily guys who've got injuries, but just generally, because I feel, as you both said, it's a role that suits people leaving the military, but I suspect there's a lot of people don't even consider it. You know, is it something that you guys would recommend? And the second part is, from where you are now, what are your aspirations going forward as greenkeepers?
Yeah, so I mean, I can touch on that without a doubt. Greenkeeping, I mean, Tony touched on it earlier. It's outdoors, you know, you're out in amongst nature. It just suits, it fits somebody leaving the military, even more so, I think, the army. But you know, the military in itself, you're sort of working a lot by yourself, so it suits somebody who's maybe struggling with a bit of PTSD or something like that. You're given a job in the morning, you're out by yourself most of the time. It's got, I mean, nowadays it's got great prospects career-wise, because the R&A are involved, and there's scholarships you can do. You know, you can go on to do a degree. So there's fantastic opportunities. But I would say definitely go and volunteer. Definitely look at it as an option for a career path. Any golf club will take on anybody from the military on a volunteer basis, and then once your foot's in the door, you know, the world's your oyster, basically.
I think, yeah, it sums up, because obviously I was about to ask you the same question. Like, you know, you guys are the perfect examples, because you were in the army, got injured, got medically discharged, golf, but on course, and now you're working on a golf industry. The perfect example. You give the suggestion of, I think people should listen to you, like, you know, whoever's the on-course members. I think it's a perfect example. I've got only one last question. I always ask everyone. So think of your highest point, you know, from the joining on course as a golfer, or are you working now? What's your memorable or highest point?
I think for me, yeah, the high point for me, I was fortunate enough to qualify for the Simpson Cup in in Oak Hill in America, and it was a massive thing to get into. You know, I'd qualified. I was playing some really good golf. Went to the London club. I absolutely, you know, smashed my qualification, and then went out to Oak Hill. And that experience, I think, for me was Oak Hill. I believe was one of the best Simpson Cups ever. Yeah. Even though it was my first one, having now done 2 since, Oak Hill was amazing. But my high point was actually qualifying for the Simpson Cup at Oak Hill, at London Club.
Oh, cheers, Tony.
Well, one of them's not public knowledge yet, so I can't tell you. Yeah. When they make it public, everyone will know. And then, but yeah, mine's pretty similar to Dave's, to be honest. I turned up at the qualifiers for Simpson Cup at Congressional. I don't know why they even emailed me. I thought, oh God, played off 17 and I was struggling to play. I don't even know why I'm going down here. And went down, had a practice round, and he'll remain nameless. But one of the guys that had played with us said you shouldn't have even bothered turning up. Being sarcastic and joking. And yeah, actually finished second out of all the people who were qualifying, and within 12 months of playing golf, I was stood on the first tee at Congressional, hitting the opening tee shot of the tournament in front of Tom Weiskopf, and I don't know, roughly about 100 people, but it felt like being in the middle of Wembley Stadium. To be fair, I was absolutely bricking it. Rob Hampton had to go back to my buggy to get my golf glove for me because I'd forgot that. Couldn't get the ball on the tee. Just swung at it, hit it as hard as I could. Unfortunately, went very straight and very far. And Dave Ward drove off in the buggy, and I just ran away from the tee. But yeah, to qualify for that in my first year, and I've been fortunate since. I've qualified a couple of times. I've had picks and stuff. I've actually not missed one. Tasted far too many defeats. But for St Andrews, as Dave was up there with us at the last Simpson Cup when we managed to get it back, which was another great high to do that at the home of golf. I don't think that'll actually be, there's so many. I mean, On Course Foundation actually gives you so many highs to look at, not just through the Simpson Cup, through the employment and where I'm actually speaking about it now. I thought, thinking about that, none of it would have been possible without the On Course Foundation. But then they give you the game of golf that 9 times out of 10 you go out and play it and you absolutely hate it and wonder why you even bother. No, but like I say, there's been so many high points throughout the On Course Foundation. I met some friends for life, people I wouldn't have met otherwise. Some great golfing memories, and I am where I am now. I've got what I've got now to a degree from the On Course Foundation. So it's been superb.
All right, cheers, Mark. You got anything?
No, I just think, as I said before, in terms of two great examples. I don't like you really using the word as examples, but of 2 great examples of guys that have, come through the charity and gone into employment and are both doing very well personally and professionally. It's great. Yeah,
and you guys are inspirational for us as well. The newcomers, the coming through guys, whoever getting injured and then and coming through On Course Foundation. Yeah, they should look after you, kind of thing. And thank you very much for your time, guys. Hopefully we will meet again somewhere at Royal Lytham, maybe.
Yeah, not breaking into a song, G.
Any? Can I just say, if any of the guys from the charity, if they ever want to come and play Lytham, just to either speak to Mark, or if you've got my number, give me a bell on social media. And I'm quite happy for any guys to come up and have a knock, if it's possible, of course.
We keep that secret, Dave.
Yeah, we go. Tony, Tony, any offers?
A Come and play Royal Cavendish. It's the 60th best course in England now, so it's not too bad. But further to what Dave said, if there is anybody that has any questions about greenkeeping, contact On Course Foundation. They'll give you my mobile number or my email, or contact me through social media. I'm sure the same can be said for Dave. We'll sit and bore you for hours and hours and hours about the job. But I mean, we're here to offer any advice to anybody that wants to get into the industry. Like I say, just feel free, and I'll quite happily bore you to death.
I thought about greenkeeping, do that too.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much for your time. Anyway, cheers. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.